So I just want to start it off with that, folks. It's first and foremost, whether you want to see the trust funds released or whatever, it all starts with you internally that decide your outer world and what you're able to attract. And it's as simple as that. Yeah.
Well, to me, the funding is external gratification. Mass arrests, people talk about on the internet, is external. This war is all internal, not external.
That's right.
And we're winning the inner war heavily, and a lot of their operations have now ended and have done over the last, certainly from 2013 onwards, where they're not able to interfere as much. Not only humans, but also the ETs are not allowed to interfere anymore after the peace treaty was signed in August of 2016. That changed everything. So there's less interference now, and the manifest abilities has gone up, the consciousness has gone up, the increase in source energy has gone up into this arena, which is having an effect on people. It will have more effect eventually on the ones that haven't made.
Sounds like a charming character. Tell us about who it is, where it's from, and its involvement on this planet. I guess as it relates to the trust.
He was, I'll say he was, because he was removed permanently after we made a request to the council because he was interfering too much. And the council will not interfere with a human to human, but they will interfere if it's non-human. And Marduk was left behind. It was the classic ancient Anunnaki story where the 5 family groups were all arguing, and they all were fighting over a specific region, particularly in the Middle East. And Marduk didn't get the Section 1 that he wanted, and he got given to Inanna. And those familiar with the Anunnaki story, Marduk is the grandson of Anu, who is the Draco king. Not the original one. He usurped his grandfather, Alulu, in dodgy circumstances. It was a bit of a coup within the Draco. And Marduk was left behind because he was always troublesome. And Anu thought it would teach him a lesson, except we were the ones that were paying the price for this lesson. And so Marduk had ran the trust for the last 16,000 years. And of course it was his role to collect all the resources. There was 2 others alongside of him. There was 3 at the top, and then it filtered down into the parents, into the covens, into what people will know as the Illuminati, except the Illuminati ended around a decade ago, and it splintered into 5 factions.
Okay, we will get into that in terms of the exact hierarchy to bring clarity to bear for people. Yep. So to clarify, Marduk was an actual Draco, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You would see him because of certain technology. You would see him as human, so you would pass him in the street. He looked, to give you a description, if people have watched the show The Event, and Agent Lee, that's almost identical to what Marduk would look like to us, except it was a different skin. Yeah, and that's why they don't want to go. That's why they don't want people getting on the mental planes, because you will have the ability. Some people will have the ability to see through the vessel and what it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the event was actually a TV show which had a heap of soft disclosure in it from, what was it, back in 2009? I remember David Woolcock, examining it back in 2009 or thereabouts.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, they were specific. That's based partly on a real story of an incident and an underground military base in Alaska that collected near 200 of non-terrestrials.
Yeah. So, folks, if you go to YouTube, type in the event, I'm sure someone's uploaded it by now. So that's Marduk. And, all right, so let's work should we go one level up or one level down beneath Marduk in terms of the actual pinnacle control structure of this planet?
Well, the Draco were the top, and Marduk ran operations from here. Most of the Draco were back on the home world. Anu came here occasionally. Last time being a few years ago, from what I have observed anyway. Then you had a structure, and we've got the only copy, Kim has it at the moment. I was studying it for a while whilst I was here, of the full control structure. And it's barely believable, trust me. Most people who have researched maybe have gone as far as understanding 20% of it, and maybe give a bit of license and say 25%, and most people have no idea what the 75% is above. None whatsoever. And neither does any government. They don't have a need to know. They're so far down the structure, it's not even funny. In fact, politicians are the lowest. The military's slightly above them. And you've got the Bilderbergers and the Council of Foreign Relations and UN and all these type of people. And they're
Club of Rome, P2 Freemasons and Templars and Knights of Malta and all that kind of stuff. So you're saying that's only just 25% of it?
Yeah. They're all below what is known as the 301 families. Not 13, 301 families. And they were all told they were special, and some of them have got Draco DNA, particularly the Rothschilds. They've got more Draco DNA than any other family. And that 301 families sort of ran the lower end, but that's the bottom 25%. And then you have a whole heap of corporations and names that essentially was like a gallery to the centre. Now, below the centre, there was 9 pyramid structures of control. Not one pyramid, 9. And then you get to the wheel within the wheel within the wheel. And they were 3 control structures, and the centre was Marduk and 2 others. Now, the first wheel, there was 47 in, and the second wheel's probably got 160, 180, and the third wheel probably 300. So there may be 700, 600 or 700 within that main structure. Now, in each box, in each wheel, there is initials of the specific group that were contained within that box. Out of all the 600 to 700 boxes of that wheel within the wheel within the wheel, there are 4 boxes, and it says human. Only 4
boxes. Yeah. Now, look, I've seen a... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, at least one photo where it's just JFK walking with the Pope of the time. I don't recall his name, back in, I think it was 62. And you got the Pope's entourage sort of behind them both. And one of the papal entourage individuals lets his telepathic overlay slip, at least for the photo camera, because we know how photos catch extra stuff. And on one half of his face, you can clearly see a green reptoid type head,
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys, whether they're in the public sphere or not in the public sphere, many of them are, as you've just eloquently put it, with only 4 of those squares being human, literal ETs just with telepathic overlays or whatever kind of technological overlay to make them look human.
It's important to define that there's ETs and there are NTs. Extraterrestrial means it comes outside, and there was an awful lot of NTs who were on and in the planet that have been here a long time also. So that not all of them were ETs. There was a number who were NTs, non-terrestrial. There are 39 species below our feet.
Yeah. And even the Black Ops community, they've been, heard stories of Black Ops guys going underground and discovering tunnels that are at least 300,000 years old.
Yeah,
and there's older ones than that.
Not no more than that, because they're banned under the Peace Treaty. They can't interfere with us, because after the Peace Treaty was signed with the ancestors of the original tribes, because it had to be signed off by all the tribal groups in August of 16, that those groups are no longer allowed to interfere. This planet was designated for humans, and it's our choice how we go about it. Now, what people have to understand is a lot of those species were brought here as slaves also, and they were brought here to enforce martial law. And that martial law started 16,500 years ago. And so they were brought here as slaves, and they're not happy that they're still here. They're happy that they're close to going home, and they're pushing for our freedom. So where they were brought here to enforce martial law under orders from the top order, they're now enforcing the Peace Treaty.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to see us get rid of these rogue elements, particularly the SSP. And there is no definitive difference. The SSP are not good. Other people around the internet will argue different. I know, and I've seen the direct evidence of it. They're not good. And they thought, like other groups, that they were more special than everybody else. And they were going to be the breakaway group, and they had the technology given to them by the non-terrestrials and the extraterrestrials. Well, now, following certain incidents, which I have seen the evidence of, they're barred from going into their realm. They're barred from going into all the portals. They've all been shut off. Wright-Patterson has 13 levels. The SSP runs Wright-Patterson, and they're only allowed to go down 6 levels. If you attempt to go into a 7th level, it's good night for you, because it's like taking a knife to a gunfight. They've got some serious weaponry down there, and they're not allowing the SSP or human elements to have any access, because we're not responsible enough with those type of tech, and so they're stopping World War III, because they were going to unleash all kinds with World War III. But that won't happen anymore.
Yeah, well, with regards to, a lot of these groups that have been underground for the most part, for how long, that have been enforcing the martial law on this planet for the sake of Drago or more firm Drago control, I guess. And then, them switching sides pretty much, it does correlate with Cobra's intel that there's quite a few groups and races from whatever origin that have crossed over to the light, as he puts it.
Well, like I said, they got brought here to do a job, and like military, they follow orders. We would all question, why is the military going into Syria from an American point of view? Well, America hasn't got a military. That's the Rothschild's army. And we're trying to get that back as part of the trust. But they were following orders. They were forced here under slavery to enforce martial law. So the Draco can sit back and let everyone else do the dirty work. They've had enough of them, and they've also had enough of the SSP as well. And so, many of them, or some of them, have contacted us and requested, can they go home? And I think once certain parameters are met, they will be allowed to go back home. From my point of view, I've asked the council, whereby we have a select group of people all over the world to go and interact with the 39 species below our feet, and we find out more about each other and learn from each other, and they're learning that not all humans are stupid and savages, because they've been told an awful different history about us, like we've been told a different history about certain greys doing abductions, and the tall greys doing this and the tall greys doing that. But then that was the perks of war. Well, now with the peace treaty in place, they can't do that, and none of them will risk it. They know the consequences. So I think it's a massive opportunity, not only for this planet, but for the rest of the universe, because this problem is not just tied to Earth. It's gone right through many galaxies, solar systems, where the 40 species, the 39 plus the humans, learn to work together, learn to share resources, not fight over. There's plenty for everyone. This planet is different because it's a replenishing planet. So oil can never ever run out. It's abiotic, and it replenishes. And gold's similar. In fact, gold's not even considered a valuable item to the other species. They call it a trash metal. But to certain people on the 3D surface, it's the be all and end all. Well, not really, not to them. So I think we have a massive opportunity to present a different side of humanity that's not a government official, that's not a military official. It's just an ordinary person from the general public who are nothing like those type of people anyway. And we have an opportunity to all work together, find out what they want, and give them what they need here. There's one particular group who came here for, they were botanists. They were trying to collect seeds from here to go back to their home world, and got trapped here because their world had been destroyed in the same fashion that they were trying to do to Earth. And when they go home, they're going to go home with a better outlook about all the other species. It's not just humans that they're fighting with. They've been fighting with each other for millions of years. I think it's a massive opportunity with so many here now, and under quarantine, so they can't go home on their own, to really get to know each other. So when they go back to the home world, they can teach their people or their beings, this is not the way it should be.